Jer, how the hell are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm good.
It's
Hey,
good to see you. It's good to see anybody right now. Jesus.
I know, no doubt about it, man. I've drank so many beers, it's not even funny anymore.
I'm with you.
Uh, all right, you're on Two Sunday for Hank. So tell us who you are.
I'm Jer Killinger from Dirty Brown Jug Band, many other previous bands, but currently Dirty Brown Jug Band.
Very cool. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's get it out of the way, man. What you've been doing? We've been tied up here in our homes for I don't know how long you've been at home, but I've
I've
been
been
here for
home a couple of weeks
about
now. I mostly been playing guitar, playing video games,
yeah,
drinking beer, drinking whiskey. What else are we doing right now? You know?
right. Very cool. I really want to talk about your new album today, man. What's going on with that? What happened? Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it.
Well, we went into Empty House Studio. I don't know if you know Matt Tobias. He has a studio here in town called Empty House. Every album up until this point have tracked, mixed, mastered, done everything myself. This album, I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to be able to focus on my playing. So I went to Matt and was like, "Hey man, this is what I want to do. I want to live track an album and then overdub and whatnot, but I want the meat of it to be live tracked." So we went into his studio back in December, and we spent 2 days tracking this thing. We had a blast doing it too, man. It was so much fun. And I think that comes through on the record that we were having a good time while we were recording it. And we did some overdubs at his place, and then we finished up what overdubs we needed to here in my little studio in my house. And then I spent the next couple months mixing. I spent a little time on the mastering, obviously. And then we just released it last week on Bandcamp. And then actually this morning, it went up on iTunes, Apple Music, YouTube. It's everywhere now.
All right. So it's a pretty brown jug man. What's the name of the album?
It's called Duke City Dreams.
Duke City Dreams. Did that come out of your brain?
It did. Yeah.
Who wrote the album? Who wrote on there?
I did. I write pretty much all the music. I mean, the bass player obviously comes up with the bass parts, the drummer comes up with the drums, but I write most of the music, and I write all the lyrics. So I guess if you had to name somebody a songwriter, that would be me.
Very cool. How many songs are on it?
This one's 9 songs. It was originally going to be 10, and then as we were recording, we decided that 10th song just didn't quite fit with the rest. And you know, in the studio, you're on a clock, so we kind of drug our feet a little bit. We drank a little too much. We ran out of time, so it's a 9-song album. But they're pretty strong 9 songs, in my opinion.
So just you and the band recorded this.
Yes, we did bring in Alex McMahon for playing steel on a couple of songs, which really took those songs to another level. I'm really happy about that decision. And my friend
he is really great player out there.
Some cello on one song too.
Yeah, Alex McMahon's a really great player.
He's amazing, and he's such a nice guy. Like, it kind of makes you sick when guys are like that cool and they can play like that. You're like, man, what am I doing in my life? Like,
very cool. So is this I'll be honest with you, I haven't listened to it yet. Just bits and pieces that I saw you guys putting up, but what can we expect? Is it country as country can be? Or
I wouldn't go that far.
Rock,
we call it Outlaw Americana. It's somewhere in the vicinity of country, but there's a little bit of rock influence in there, a little bit of rockabilly, a little bit of bluegrass, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I call it country for the most part, but I don't know that it is country. It's definitely got a country mother and probably a southern rock father. That's what this is.
Great way to put that. I look forward to listening to it. Can you tell me a little bit about your band? And you guys have been playing around for a long time. I've seen you guys live quite a few times. You've seen me around out there.
Oh yeah. In the crowd. We've been at this. I've been at this since 2013 is when I started this band. Me and the bass player Justin Roke. He's been with me since the beginning, and he's still my ride or die partner when it comes to this thing. We've been through a few drummers. I think we are currently on our 4th drummer. His name's Justin Salazar. He also plays around the metal scene here in town. Phenomenal drummer, really nice guy. We work really well with him, and I keep saying that this will be the last drummer, because if I lose him, I'm done. I'm just done. Like, the lineup we have right now is the best lineup we've ever had, and I honestly don't see me losing either of these guys and being able to continue. Like I have to have these two or I'm done. Like
It's pretty cool to see you guys. Like I said, I've seen you guys a few times. It's really neat to see you guys as a trio and pull off so much, like such a full sound, really, really good country sound. How did that all work out with you? Is it easier, just an easier recipe that way, or
it
you know?
is it is definitely an easier recipe when there's only three of us. I have played with other guitar players in the past, not in this band, but in other bands. And you're a guitar player, you get it. Some guitar players just don't play well with others. And I feel like that's me. Like I just never, well, I shouldn't say never, but very few people I get along with well enough to work with in that capacity and not want to kill them or they don't want to kill me. Or I'm very specific in what I like. And so far, I'm the only guy I've met that plays exactly how I want it to sound. So we just keep it as a three piece. Plus, it's like being in a relationship with other people, and if the personalities don't jive, the music suffers. So I'd rather keep it nice and tight. We all get along great. We all play really well together. We all still have a great time going out and playing, whether it's in a studio or on a stage somewhere. We still really dig what we do, and I think that really comes across when you see us play live.
I have seen you guys play live, and one of the cool things that I've liked about when I did see you is that um, you've taken on some what I want to call I'm gonna use this very loosely, what I want to call modern country songs and not country bullshit crap that you hear on the radio, but you're listening to the real deal country people that are kind of in a way somewhat underground a little bit. And you guys are going out there and covering some of those songs. Tell us about that a little
Yeah, I do some really random covers. I'm sure you've seen us once or twice pull off some like 90s grunge and put a bluegrass twang on it, or guys like Tyler Childers and Sturgill Simpson. That's my bread and butter. Like they're the real country in my opinion. So that's the kind of stuff I like to cover because I don't I don't listen to a lot of modern country. I grew up listening to Merle Haggard, uh, Johnny Cash. I mean, you name it, the classics. That's what I grew up on. So that's what I gravitate towards. And I feel like guys like Sturgill Simpson and Tyler Childers and Coulter Wall, they encapsulate that old rebel country sound, and that's what I like about them.
bit. So I'm going to ask you about this, and we've talked about this before, but I want to bring it up on in this particular interview. But y'all don't look like it.
Yeah, we get that a lot, a lot. Excuse me. When I walk into a place and I walk in with a guitar case and I tell them, yeah, I'm in Dirty Brown Jug Band. First thing out of their mouth is, "You guys play country, right?" Like, and I get it. I earned it. I got lots of tattoos. I got the long hair. I did play metal for many many years and punk and thrash and everything else. But I did grow up listening to country. And it around 2013, I just got tired of playing metal. I felt like I did everything I could do with it. I could only scream so much, and you pass 30, you feel like a fool on stage playing that stuff. At least I did. So I just went back to my roots, man. I wanted to play the stuff that I grew up listening to and that I actually learned to play. My grandfather taught me to play, and he was a big bluegrass and country guy. So those were some of the first licks I ever learned. And of course, being a teenager, you just want to crank that distortion and do everything your parents hate. And I rode that train for like 20 years. And then I finally, I wanted to challenge myself. So I went back to the roots. That's how I ended up doing what I do now.
Probably one of the few bands that I've seen out and about in town that actually covers Sturgill Simpson stuff and that sort of scene, my Tyler Childers stuff and that kind of deal. So I think that's really cool. I hope you keep that up. That's awesome. So do you have some sort of recipe when you guys are playing live about what kind of songs you play cover wise and what kind of songs you play that are your own?
I try to write a set list, and I honestly am probably one of the few guys that every show, or at least once a month, depending on how many shows we're playing a month, I mix it up every time. We never play the same set twice if I can help it. Sometimes we're in a time crunch. We got 3 shows in a weekend. We got to ride that set list for the weekend, whatever. But I try to put songs together so that they flow a certain way, so that we don't lose people's attention, so we keep people entertained for the 3-4 hours we're playing. But then there are those nights where I drink a little too much and it just pretty much whatever I feel like playing. It'll even be stuff we haven't rehearsed and I'll just start in on a song and the guys will be like, man, what are you doing? But they follow me every time and they follow me really well. So I
That's
probably drive those two crazy doing that, but it happens more often than not. I'll get to the end of the night and be like, you know what? I feel like playing an Alice in Chains song right now. Let's do it. You know, it just happens.
that's a recipe. I think, in my opinion, that's a recipe for a really good band that just goes with the flow and
You know, I say this to all kinds of performers, man. Sometimes you got to read the room. Sometimes people don't want to hear that old Conway Twitty, or sometimes people don't want to hear Merle Haggard. Sometimes you got to give them the Cranberries all bluegrassed out, and it's worked for us so far. So,
like that you went with the Cranberries. That's pretty cool. So I want to hear a little bit about the like some of the places. I've seen you in a bunch of places, and just so happened that we were there or you were there, or and I've gone out to see you guys. My wife and I have come out to see you guys just because we knew it was going to be good music and a good night. Tell me about what you think about the Albuquerque music scene, one, and two. Give me a couple of places that you just really dig freaking playing here in Albuquerque.
I'm going to answer it backwards so I don't forget. All right. So we really enjoy playing a lot of places around Albuquerque. Steelbender, top of the list. They always treat us really well. They're really nice people that own that place. They got good food. They got good beer. They really seem to dig what we do. We dig what they do. Cantero's another spot we were playing quite a bit before all this. We really enjoyed. I don't know, man. Around town, usual suspects. Marble Brewery, all three of them we play every chance we get because it's always a good time. But honestly, we tend to do better when we get out of Albuquerque, which comes back to the first question. Like, I think the music scene here is really good. There's some really talented people, like Ryan Painter and Trigger and Austin. I don't know if you know Austin Van. Great young guy, up and comer, killer voice, amazing. That kid's got a future, let me tell you. But there's a good handful of us that are all trying to play the same places. And I feel like sometimes the venues try to use that to pit us against each other in a way. Like, well, so-and-so said they do this show for 250, so why do you need 300? Or, things like that. So that gets a little frustrating. So in the last year, we have gotten out of town every chance we get. We go down to Cloudcroft, we play Las Cruces, we've been up to Pagrosa Springs, and we're constantly trying to find new places and new audiences to go interact with. I don't think there's anything terribly wrong with the Albuquerque music scene. I just think that live music itself, no matter what genre you're into, is slowly fading out here. And when you do, I mean, you play, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you go out and you play and you're just background noise. The people sitting there would rather have a conversation and listen to the jukebox than to hear music. And I think that plays a big role in how much people get booked. We actually met at the Sandbar while I was running open mic over there. And that was a great example. Before that closed, they were trying really hard to get the music scene back where it should be. They were trying to do their part. I had a big hand in trying to help people get booked there and trying to help promote. I obviously ran the sound. But what we ran into is no matter how big of a name we booked, people just didn't care. They would just sit there in their own little bubble, complain that the music was too loud, that they couldn't talk to their buddies. And I think that had a big effect on where we're at. Well, obviously not right now, but before this, why I feel like the music scene just wasn't thriving the way it should here in Albuquerque.
So who's going to fix that? Who's going to start?
I wish I had an answer for you, man, or I'd already be working on that problem. I honestly think people's attention spans just aren't what they used to be. We're used to picking up our phone and having instant gratification for whatever we want in seconds. It's a different world now. It really is.
Speaking of that, speaking of your phone, you showed it to us. How many shows have you watched online since all this crap went down?
A lot, actually, because I can't leave the house. I can't go watch live music, so this is the best I got. And there's not a day I haven't logged in Facebook and seen one of my friends jamming out, playing songs. it's what we can do for each other right now. It helps. You know, I can only watch so much TV and I get sick of playing by myself. So it's nice to watch my buddies get down. I think it's a really cool thing. I really, really want to get back out there and play live music and see live music. But for now, it's what we got, you know? I think it's
Yeah,
great.
I've probably watched, I bet I've watched more shows in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I'll say, than I did almost the entire part of last year. Just the people, friends all over the country that are playing stuff out live on Facebook. So unfortunately, the tip bucket doesn't fill up nearly as quick as it does, as it does when
That's
you're at a
true.
bar and
That's
somebody's having a
true.
beer, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. But you know, it's taking people's minds off their troubles for a little bit. And if we can help in that way, I'm all about it.
I
And I'm
appreciate.
glad so many other people feel the same way.
I think that's really cool for you to say that out loud, and I appreciate that about you. So, tell me a little bit about your writing process, man. What happens when you sit down? You sit down with a guitar, and like, what happens? How does it all? How does
You
it come?
know, it's different for every song, man. Sometimes I'll be in the shower and I'll think of like one good line, and as soon as I get out, I go write it down real quick. And sometimes the words come first. Sometimes I'll be just fiddling around on my guitar and come up with a cool riff and be like, man, that'd make a good song. And then I write the words. I can't say I have a real process, man. Sometimes it just comes to me. And I've found that if I actually sit down, like if I sat down today and picked up a guitar and said, I'm going to write a song today, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. You know, inspiration strikes when it strikes and you can't control it.
Yeah. So you got a little bit ahead of me a while ago when I was because I got a list here of questions and things that I think about and want to make sure I get through. But you got ahead of me when you were talking about old country music, the old classics, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, all them. That's my favorite stuff too, man. That's like the know all be all. Like anytime I'm feeling down at all, I can go to any one of those guys and they got something for me. So with
You're
regards to
feeling sad. You put on some Hank Williams. And
yeah.
that's it. That's it, man.
So so I want to ask you a little bit about that. Is that just something and you said everybody says this, I say it too. That's just what I grew up with. So tell me how that picture was. Was it something that your mom and dad spun on the record?
My grandparents actually, again, I said my grandfather taught me to play. He actually used to play country when I was real young. And I remember being like 4 or 5 years old, going to watch my grandfather play, and he would save seats for us in the front row. And I literally grew up watching my grandfather play this music. And every time I'd go to their house or I'd be in my grandmother's car, I would be hearing this classic country. And at the time, I'll be honest, I didn't really like it. I actually hated it.
That's
And
exactly where
as
I was at too.
yeah, as I grew older, I grew more appreciation for it. I really did, especially having played metal as long as I did. Uh, and I just felt like my chops got to a point where there's like, I'm plateaued here. There's nowhere to go from here. And what got me back into it is I actually sat down and tried to learn Man of Constant Sorrow. And I was like, wow, these country guys got some chops, you know, like if I want to challenge myself, I feel like this is the route I need to go. And it was shortly after that, I discovered Brad Paisley. Say what you will about the man, he can play. He's got some country chops, man. It was guys like that and Hank III and even Aaron Lewis putting out a couple country albums that really inspired me. Like, hey, these rock guys can switch gears and go country, and they're really good at it. So why can't I? You know. But I did grow up kind of having it shoved down my throat. Like I got to the point where if I heard one more Brooks and Dunn song, I was going to throw somebody through a window. But now I can actually listen to it and enjoy it and appreciate it for what it is, as to where back then I wanted nothing to do with it. I wanted to listen to the Misfits. I wanted to listen to Pantera and Slayer. And I still do listen to those things. But as I've gotten older, I don't gravitate toward it the way I used to. I find myself gravitating more towards Tyler Childers, you know, like that's just more my speed as my age sets in.
It's funny that you say something about age. So this is I was talking to J5 the other day, and I was talking to Josh Lee just an hour ago or so, and you guys keep bringing up what I consider real good country, but it's all from like the '90s, and you
Yeah,
guys
because that's the last time good country got put out.
so freaking old, man. I'm like, God damn, that's not where that country shit came from. So, but but y'all bring that stuff up. So I think that's really interesting.
Because that's what we all enjoy, man. Like you want to talk about classics. That's it. Like you can't talk about classic rock without bringing up AC/DC in Boston. You know,
Yeah,
you
but
can't bring
that
up
but
classic country.
that classic country stuff wasn't from the 90s. It was from before that
It was
era
from way
to
before
me.
that.
And but everybody that it's just interesting to me that everybody that I've talked to keeps bringing up 90s country stuff, and I'm like, oh, and it was good. Like the 90s were good, the country, but
Well, in my case, I was a child in the 90s. I was born in 1981. So like 1992, I would have been 11 years old. So what was on the radio was 90s country. So when my parents would put on the country station out of Cleveland in the car, that's what I heard. Like to me, that was country. And then my grandfather would throw me the classics, the real country. So I got a little double dip, I guess, there. I got to hear the modern stuff back then and the classic stuff. And the modern stuff I'm hearing nowadays, good Lord. Like, how do you even call yourself country?
it's something special, isn't it?
It
And
sounds like
it really
90s
sounds
alternative
good.
to
Like
me.
everybody talks about it, like how terrible it is, but yet they sell millions and millions of albums. They sell out every show. I mean,
And I don't get it.
every show here in Albuquerque for them guys, those are all sold out for the summer, the entire summer.
Wow.
And there was really only one person on that ticket. Well, actually, I should say two. I'm going to back that train up a little bit. Dwight Yoakam and Chris Stapleton are the only people on that country ticket that are playing this summer, and hopefully we'll get to see them. Probably not, but um, the rest is just garbage. But they're sold out. They sold out like that.
Oh yeah, I saw Dwight a few years ago at the rodeo at the fairgrounds, and it was a good show, man. I really dig him live. I dig him anyway, but he's got a great backing band.
I saw him live at Isleta. No, not Isleta, at Route 66, year before last. And I was joking with my friends because the show was at 7:00 or something like that, or 8:00, and they were like, "Oh, we better get in there, man. The show's gonna start." I'm like, "Dude, Dwight Yoakam has never started a show on time, like
Right?
ever."
No
And
one ever starts a
I'm
show
not
on
shitting you, Jer. I'm not shitting you, man. He started at 8:03. Like,
Wow,
without fail, he walked out on stage and bam, it was on. So
nice. Yeah, that rarely happens.
So one last question for you. I'll let you get onto your beer drinking or whatever you do over there. I always ask everybody this: what are you listening to right now? I know that everybody has their thing that they listen to from time to time, but what are you listening to like in the last few days that you just have got stuck on and kind of on repeat a little bit? Is there anything you can share with us?
I'll be honest, man. I listen to a lot of local music because I'm friends with a lot of the local music scene. Between running sound and playing music and working at music stores for over a decade, like I pretty much know half the players in town, and I dig a lot of their music. Like I've been listening to a lot of Moonshine Blind. If you've never heard those guys, they're definitely worth checking out. I listen to Trigger stuff every time he posts something. I'm really into Kyle Martin's songwriting. Even the covers he does are really good. Uh, as far as national acts, I'm a Tyler Childers guy, man. Like I've been listening to him on repeat for like 2 years. That Country Squire album blew my mind. I was listening to it in the truck today. It doesn't get old. I can listen to it 100 times and then 100 times more. Sturgill Simpson's on constant rotation. And I've recently really gotten into Coulter Wall. I really like that guy's songwriting style. He's got a unique thing going on there, and I really dig it.
Very cool. Well, man, I really appreciate your time with me today, man. This has been a fun project for me that I've
Thank
been
you for
doing.
having me, man. I feel lonely. You know, I can't play, I can't do anything. I'm like, people are gonna forget about me. Like, so I feel grateful just to be included.
Cool. No, you guys are great. You guys are a great band. Like I said, my wife and I have gone to see you and even danced on the dance floor a few times, and it's been really fun. So I really wish you the best with your new album. And I haven't made time to do that myself, but I am going to listen to it. And I really wish you guys the best of luck with that. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being with us here on um, Happy Hank Sunday over here.
Yeah.
And we really just once again appreciate you, and I'll look forward to seeing you out there when everything blows over. Stay safe.
Yeah, man, we need to get together and have a beer, all of us, when this is over.
Let's do it. Yeah, for sure, man.